Oh, I have another question.
Oh, I actually just went live.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
You can type it in the chat.
that's okay. It's silly. Can I go ahead and begin?
Yep, good to go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Taylor Capillari. I'm the owner and artist of 8 Ways of Me, and I will be your panel facilitator today. This is a public meeting of the Tippecanoe Arts Federation's Region 4 Arts Project Support Grant Program. I am Taylor Capillari, an artist and board member of the Tippecanoe Arts Federation, and I will be facilitating today's panel discussion. Today is April 21st, 2021, and we are meeting online and streaming live for applicants and the public to observe. There is to be no contact between the panel and the audience about the disposition of applications before, during, or after the panel meeting. This meeting will be recorded and made available upon request. At this time, I will individually invite each of the panelists and staff to introduce themselves, stating their name, occupation, and where they are from in the state. Okay, let's make my screen a little bit bigger. Okay. Panelists, I can't see everybody home.
I can read them for you. How about Bonnie? You start first.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Zimmer, and I live in Rensselaer, Indiana, in Jasper County. I'm a retired art educator and now a full-time artist.
Okay, Carrie.
My name is Carrie Starr, and I live in West Lafayette, Indiana, and I was an art educator, kindergarten through middle school in Indiana for 20 years, and I am currently staying home and enjoying dabbling in smart while I'm home.
Cheryl.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Sullivan, and I'm from Kokomo, Indiana, and I'm retired from GM and currently the president of the Kokomo Art Association.
Cindy.
Hi, I'm Cindy Gerlach. I'm in Lafayette, Indiana. I'm the managing director of the Lafayette Master Chorale and Children's Choir, and I work as a freelance arts journalist.
Michelle.
Hi, my name is Michelle Kreinbrook. I am also from Lafayette, Indiana. I am the Director of Community Benefit Outreach and Grants for North Central Health Services.
And Steve.
Steve Briscoe. I'm a division manager for a large corporation in the Midwest U.S. and live in Elkhart, Indiana.
Okay, now we'll begin the panel review. This is how the process will work. I will announce each application, ask the first reader to begin the discussion. The first reader will provide their assessment of the application based upon the evaluation criteria in their perspective. Panelists, please note the applications do not need to be recapped since everyone has read it. Just provide your comments. After the first reader is finished, I will ask the second reader to present any new, additional, or opposing comments. We are not looking for consensus, just a full evaluation from the different perspectives panelists bring to the table. After the second reader has finished, I will open the discussion for final comments from the rest of the panel. Remember, in the interest of time, we are only looking for new, additional, or opposing viewpoints. If a panelist were to have a conflict of interest, that panelist will be placed on hold and not participate in the discussion while the application is reviewed. However, there are no conflicts of interest on this panel. Finally, once the application has been reviewed by the full panel, I will ask the panel to update their scores in the online system. It is common for scores to change as a result of this broader discussion. These scores will save automatically. Are there any questions? Okay, let's begin. We will start with the application from Flora-Monroe Township Public Library. And the first reader is Steve Briscoe.
Thank you. You know, one of the things I liked about this program has been successful for over 14 years in that community, and that they were very inclusive of both adults and the youth in the community, and they had experienced instructors there, and that was one of the things that stood out as well. You know, there are examples of past work, you know, where it was hands-on, involving all the students or participants in the program. And they put together a realistic timeline and budget for the program, and was well thought out on their application. One of the things that really stood out to me, was the way that it was introducing the community, youth and adults, to art, and it challenged them to think outside the box and look at that program and what they were doing and trying to create, made them look at their environment and how it would interact with the art project that they were working on. So overall, I thought this was a very good community project and was laid out very well.
Okay, thank you. The second reader is Bonnie Zimmer.
Hello. I don't have much to add from what Steve observed. I agree with everything he said. Again, that combination of literacy and arts enrichment in the summertime is such a great idea. So I think it was well written. It seemed to cover all its bases, and I concur. And that's really all I have to add.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any new additional or opposing comments? Okay. Please finalize your scores and update your online comments. And the next applicant will be Purdue University Department of Educational Studies. And that first reader is Michelle Kreinbrook.
Hello. I enjoyed reviewing this as it looks at how our higher education institution and elementary school educators and students and community can get engaged into a project that I think will be very meaningful to many people in the community. Although when you look at the artistic benefit as far as financial benefit to Indiana artists, even the applicant described that it wouldn't necessarily financially benefit anyone. We all know that just bringing art to this population is a great opportunity, and also guiding the mural process, I think, is also going to assist these young students. And also I saw some opportunities to guide the teachers into developing expertise in this area. So I appreciated that in the application. As far as community engagement and idea, I appreciate the opportunity that no one would be excluded from this project and that all ideas would be involved as far as the project design. I liked how they understood that these are younger children, and so how they were going to engage and get their thoughts into what type of murals would be used by using different images to get their insights was a positive part of the project. And then also allowing for different types of materials to be used so that different accessibility accommodations would be made for many, I thought was also something that I appreciated in this project, and that many of the supplies that were going to be used were reusable and environmentally friendly. I liked how that process was going to make it usable for many years to come from a sustainability perspective. I thought the project was very well organized and that the budget seemed to be aligned for the project to be completed. So overall, I thought it was great submission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. I apologize. I think I have a delay on my end with the Zoom. Everybody is frozen.
We can still hear you.
Okay, you can. Okay, thank you. Okay, and the second reader is Carrie Starr.
Okay, thank you. I agree with with everything she said, really, I think it had, this project had a clear purpose and goals that will provide a meaningful art experience for many, many artists that get to use it. I think that the people in this underserved community can use it in many ways, according to their abilities. Like she said, lots of different art mediums and adaptive tools can be used to give people access to this. And I really felt like it was a strong project also.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Bonnie's raising her hand. I think she wants to add something.
Yeah, something I
Okay.
wanted to add, and I don't know how appropriate or not that it is. Just as a lifelong art educator, I was curious about why they felt they had to put the coloring book image on the mural panels. And maybe I'm out of line with this, but everything that they're trying to do is wonderful. I thought the materials, the management, everything was laid out, but it almost seemed to me like, why do they even need a big coloring book image on these murals when the kids could go in, color, draw, express themselves creatively, have the mark making, the whole experience and goals for the thing. I was just curious how this pre-drawn set of images was going to enhance this experience. So again, I don't know if I'm out of line with that depth of suggestion or critique, but I was going to throw that out there. So.
I would just say that that's just an added something for them to consider, just not part of the evaluation criteria.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. At this time, if you can please finalize your scores and update your online comments. And the next applicant will be the Pulaski County Tribe Incorporation, and the first reader is Carrie Starr.
Okay. For artistic quality and artistic benefit, I really felt that this is a strong project with a clear purpose. In their mission statement, it was unclear to me who the Pulaski County Tribe is. How are they related to the group that they serve? Are they a nonprofit group? Are they a group of parents? Is this a group of businesses? So that left some questions for me. I really like that this does benefit specific artists from their direct community. For community engagement, it really does engage the community in various ways. I was very impressed with the multiple idea strategies used to give access to different underserved communities involved in the project. For example, the interpretive sign that will include Braille, the different places that the artwork can be viewed and enjoyed from, and the improved sidewalks for mobility issues. All of those things, just the thought that went into including all of those things really stood out to me. For the project management, I felt like there was good planning and staffing. The timeline, I felt if it were further along on the timeline, more specifics would have been available. For example, the size and the design of the artwork, what the partner organizations that they were needed volunteers from, how they were going to help with the project. But altogether, I felt it was a very strong plan, and I can see it being implemented with ease.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. The second reader is Steve Briscoe.
I saw many of the same things that Carrie saw in that. So she had a really good assessment put together there. The one thing that really stood out to me was the inclusiveness of people with limited access. They had a really good, strong plan and how to bring people to the artwork, and even the visually impaired, as she said, to really have them participate in the artwork. So it was well presented budget and plan overall.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any new additional or opposing comments? And my
Oh,
screen frozen
I
again.
had
I'm
one.
sorry.
Let's see. I had one suggestion on just their publicity of the May. I read this a little while back, but the note that I made was just their publicity strategies for the actual May 2022 event was something that I was curious about, I guess. And that might be a recommendation just to make sure that they really have a wow introduction of it to the community. But what a great group, what a great idea. The idea of a tribe of just like-minded people, that's their connection, promoting the arts in this small county. So it's wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Okay, and the next applicant is Wabash College, and the first reader is Cheryl Sullivan.
There was a lot of information in this application. It was a long read. The organization has had 42 years of experience in bringing this event to fruition, and I have no doubt that they will be able to do it again this year. I would have liked a little more information on their idea strategies and who were they working with in the community for this year's event. And I didn't see where their marketing materials or social media showed the underserved communities they intend to serve. Photographs of past audiences at the Visiting Artists series would have been nice to see. And as far as I could tell, no Indiana artist would benefit financially from this grant. All artists listed in the application were from other states, unless I missed something.
Yeah, there were some.
But other than that, it was a well-written grant, plenty of information, and I think it's probably been a great event for 42 years and probably will be again this year.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. The second reader is Cindy Gerlach.
I agree with everything Cheryl said. I did note specifically that it doesn't appear that Indiana artists directly benefit financially from this. There are some that have an Indiana connection. For Straight No Chaser, for example, was formed at IU, but I don't think they're based in Indiana any longer. And I think I would have liked to see attendance data from previous years to maybe help understand exactly how many people, like as Cheryl mentioned, in those underserved populations really benefit, because it is a long running series, so surely that data exists.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Any new additional or opposing comments? Bonnie?
I just thought the program, that was the only thing that I saw that was lacking, in that their focus was Indiana artists. But on the other hand, the programming that they were planning seemed so spectacular, and they were bringing opportunities for cultural enrichment to this area. So I thought what they chose seemed wonderful. And I think in terms of their planning, they have a committee. It looks like they have these layered committees that serve one position and then move to another over a period of years. So, I mean, I think they've got real seasoned people who are choosing this, but again, I don't know how much community input they're getting from it. But the programming they have looked like it was really top shelf. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Okay, and the next applicant is Psi Iota 11 Beta Alpha Chapter WC, and the first reader is Cindy Gerlach.
1 second as I find that here. we go. So this is also another long-standing project. It's been run for several years. I felt like it was very well organized and very planned. It clearly benefits the children who are part, or it addresses their needs, the kids who are in that intended audience. It's very interactive. It involves the very tactile art that is, maybe a better way for some kids to get involved. It also involves reading with it. There's clearly a system put in place for evaluation and for planning this project. Like I said, identification of the population served is clear. The budget was very straightforward. There's a stipend for the artists and obviously the supplies that will go into it. And I thought the marketing materials were very good as well.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. The second reader is Bonnie Zimmer.
Again, as a former art educator, anytime you can have enrichment during the school day, such as this program affords, it's wonderful for the teacher and for the students. And the fact that the sorority works so closely with the school and the teacher and that community to plan the programming, utilizing Indiana artists. I mean, I just loved everything about it in the benefits that it brings to the student population, who of course are the most important aspect of this. So it seems like a very important recurring program. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Any new additional or opposing comments?
One thing that I thought when I was reading this application that I thought would have strengthened it would have been pictures from previous years. I would have really enjoyed seeing that, the work that the kids have done in the past.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Please finalize your scores and update your online comments. And the next applicant is going to be Streets of Monticello Association. And that first reader is Bonnie Zimmer.
Well, I think this is a wonderful volunteer organization with a very strong mission and important community building goals through events like what they're proposing and requesting funds for. But my overall application assessment is that it was overly brief in almost every single narrative area that we requested. Right out of the gate, I would encourage the applicant to read the directions very carefully and be sure to elaborate with important details whenever they can. This may be someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with grant writing, and so those are some important tips, I think. And for example, like the project summary right out of the gate, I wasn't quite sure exactly what they were planning to do. You know, if they had simply said that they were going to have a picnic and a concert recurring on second Fridays through the summer, even that would have given me a clear idea. It took me a while getting into the grant and even looking at their promotional materials to really understand what they were talking about. But again, it's a great project. Under the artistic quality, I thought due to the lack of information, it was really difficult to assess the quality of their artists. And also the project description was so broad, they provided no artistic documentation at all. And I realize it's early, maybe they couldn't get their 2021 groups chosen yet, but this is their second year of doing this. So they could have maybe highlighted last year's musicians or even one of the groups to give us an idea about quality. In their publicity, they did list some names of several bands. So if they could maybe just tell us about or show us a video of one of those, that would have helped to increase their score for this section. Under the artistic benefits, the grant instruction clearly states, tell us about the artist, where are they from, how will they benefit? And again, there was no information provided here. So I would encourage them to try to, again, more details. Under community engagement and the inclusion diversity aspect, again, more detailed information on how you're going to work with and engage the public. They don't really describe any specific outreach to serve the underserved communities, but they do have a pretty good publicity and marketing plan. So I'm assuming the word will get out as they're scattering posters around in radio ads and social media. Hopefully that word will get out to the underserved. But again, I would encourage them to maybe come up with some concrete strategies for reaching that population. Under project participation, you know, they threw out some numbers about who would attend, but again, no concrete information on about how any of their data was gathered. Project management, they have what's called the design committee, and they have this incredible group of 80 volunteers to help with their events. Wow, that to me was just astounding, but we don't have any information about the project managers and their qualifications. So again, back to what I'm hammering at, more details, please. And timeline. Timeline is so important to developing your project and carrying it off. And it's especially important in your grant application to show us that you've covered all your bases. You know, who's doing what and when, and having some deadlines and benchmark dates for things like, you know, are they fundraising? Are they booking musicians, making the food arrangements, publicity? All those things need to at least be mentioned. And then finally, never in the application do they say the hours of the actual events. They say the food starts from 6 to 6:30, but they don't even say when the concert part of it is. So that was problematic for me. Again, I think it's a great event. And so the core of a really good project is here, but for the grant, they need more details. And finally, the budget, they had a problem with the budget in that their income expenses didn't match up. And so I think that was just a lack of understanding about certain things they actually included in kind as part of their expenses. So I would encourage this group to reach out to TAF and get some help with their next grant, but I would also encourage them to keep up the great work because what they're doing is very important.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
The second reader is Michelle Kreinbuch.
Yeah, I had a lot of similar feedback as what Bonnie has included in her comments. I would only add some additional feedback is that I do appreciate that this is held in a very central area in Monticello. So I do believe accessibility to attend would eliminate any of those obstacles for attendance. It would also not limit capacity. I could see where many people could attend this, and especially since it's a free event. I also like the idea that they were able to include a meal with the event for those who may be lacking food or nutrition in this time. And I feel like that's also a nice thing if they're able to pull that together. Because it's an outdoor event, I do think it might be a little difficult to get a unique count of participants to know truly how many are served, but I do know that space personally and know that it can serve a lot. So I do believe it could have a good attendance. Like she said, the financials, I did see also that were not balanced. So just a little more detail there. And then I also had just commented a little more details on the timeline. So I think we had some similar feedback that I don't need to duplicate. So but it does sound like a great event, and hopefully you can pull it all together.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Are there any new, additional, or opposing comments? Yes, Cindy.
I agree with everything I've heard. I would have liked to hear what who some of the potential bands are, maybe who they used last year, who they're considering for this year. I'm not sure that they mentioned whether the in-kind donations have actually been secured, or is that something that they could potentially be turned down for even?
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Please finalize your scores and update your online comments. And the next applicant will be General de Lafayette DAR. And that reader is Steve Briscoe. First.
And this was a well-written program with clear goals and objectives. I think it's a great thing for the community to put on this type of a performance. It has some historical context to it too. They explained exactly what they intended to do and again, the audience that they wanted to reach. Great examples of the artistic work in the past. They had a COVID-19 plan in place, to compensate in case something happens there. I thought that was a great thing to have put in there. They had a good marketing plan, showed experienced people, the ones that were going to help them put the program together. The one thing that I'll say, though, is that on their social media, the Facebook page, I made a note that I thought they needed to be more inclusive of the audience that they were trying to reach. It just didn't appear that they had that outreach on their Facebook page and some of the other things that they were trying to do, or a clear picture of the program and as it would relate to minorities and how it showed up on the application. So I thought they were very inclusive of the community as a whole, and trying to involve everyone in the community, get the right audience in there, the right people in there. But again, just that one piece of the marketing plan is where I saw a little bit of a fault.
Okay, thank you, Steve. The second reader is Cindy Gerlach.
I agree with everything Steve said. This project is very well planned, very detailed. The one thing it specifically says in there that it is interactive, and I'm not sure I see how it's interactive for the audience. But
Thank you, Cindy. Any new, additional, or opposing comments? Yes, Bonnie.
I think the interactive part was just maybe during one of the performances that as part of the performance, they engage with the audience in some kind of call and response maybe or something. I read it last week, so I can't remember exactly, but I thought that initially too. And then as I recall, I think there was something like that included in it.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Okay, please finalize your scores and update your online comments. And the next applicant will be Joyful Journey Adult Day Service. And the first reader is Michelle Kreinbrook.
Yes, so I enjoyed reading their application and appreciate that their mission is to socially engage with those that they spend time with, that they refer to as their friends. And I believe this application certainly helps with that social engagement. So certainly trying to align with their mission. I believe that Denise, that will be coming in, or who will continue to come in as their artist in residence, certainly provides a level of engagement with their friends that they have in their facility during that time. So I do appreciate that. I also enjoyed looking at the examples that were provided in the application of the type of programming that Denise provides, and also the images of those that are in the facility during the day. And also the marketing materials were well prepared, and I like that they present it in different platforms. So whether it is to the person that they're presenting respite to, they've included it in their calendars, they've included it on their social media, and also in printed materials. So I feel like the outreach and the ability to see when she would be able to be there would be nice. So I appreciate the way that they also are measuring impact and engagement due to the impaired audiences that you serve. So the rubric method and actually that visual way, because a lot of times they may not be able to vocally give the feedback, but just to see how are people interacting with the audience and engaging in that community. I thought that the project timelines and outcomes were clear, and the budget seems reasonable for this project.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. The second reader is Carrie Starr.
Okay, thank you. I really second a lot of the things that Michelle said are things that I have written down also. I thought the project had very clear goals. It's built on experience with a specific Indiana artist. It benefits this underserved community. I thought it was well planned and staffed, and I really truly enjoyed seeing the pictures from the project from last year as well.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Any new, additional, or opposing comments?
Bonnie's raising her hand.
My screen froze again.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I can see. Sorry.
The only thing I had to say, because what a wonderful program and just such a great idea. I wasn't clear on how outreach to a diverse population happens. My understanding is that they provide programming to individuals who already attend the facility. And I'm just unclear how underserved individuals would learn about that program or opportunity. That would be my only question. Again, everything else about it is just marvelous, right? The assessment, especially, because that seems to be one of the difficult things for programs, is how do we get a good assessment with enough information that we can improve upon it? And so they've done that. But curious about the outreach to underserved. And that's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Okay. Please finalize your scores and update your online comments. And the next applicant is Attica Main Street. And the first reader is Carrie Starr.
Okay, thank you. I thought this project was a really great idea. I didn't feel like it was well developed in the application. I felt like there were left a lot of things unclear to me. I'd like to see more specifics. What exactly are the murals going to be, the designs, the size, where they're going to be. I know that, and one of the things that said that they thought that they could put it someplace, but they weren't sure yet. I would like to see some more things like that. Definite. A lot of great ideas expressed, but again, I'd like to see more definites. For the community engagement and ideas, I thought it showed strong community engagement with diverse groups involved in planning and creation of the project. Underserved communities will be able to view the artwork easily and for free. I wasn't sure how some groups listed will have access and be involved in the project. For example, they listed 671 students, but I didn't see any details or understand exactly how all of those students were going to be involved in the project. For project management, I think this probably just wasn't completely understood or properly filled out. It said that no one from the organization was listed as participating in this project. I would have liked to have seen the names, the titles, the backgrounds for people involved from the Main Street board members and or the project committee members. The timeline left out some important details. I felt like if they were further along in their process at the time of application submission, that they probably could have included a lot more of those details. As far as the budget, the cash income and the cash expense totals didn't match. What concerned me about that is how they would implement this project with $660,000 plus not accounted for. And maybe I misunderstood that reading, but that was how I took that section. Again, I think it was a really strong project. It could be a wonderful thing for their community. I would just like to see maybe a little further along in the process and a lot more details.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. The second reader is Michelle Kreinbrook.
Yes, I had some similar feedback as what Carrie had just said. I do like the examples of the different murals that were submitted. I like that they will be able to take some space which may otherwise look run down and refresh and renew it. I think this could be something that would be attractive for the Attica community as far as bringing people into town and sharing the arts through murals. I thought that there was some great community engagement when I went on to their Facebook page to look to see how they had been promoting the murals. There was certainly a lot of feedback, and I enjoyed reading the comments and examples that the community has submitted as ideas as you're going through the project. So that was encouraging to see that you actually have engagement in that social space. So sometimes that can be difficult to create. And that I like that there were some opportunities for different age groups and different talent to participate in the creation of the murals. I had the same feedback regarding the expenses too. Otherwise, I will look forward to seeing how this project progresses.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Any new, additional, or opposing comments? Bonnie?
Hate to be in there again. I think the teacher, there's a whole lot in that timeline that isn't referred to anyplace else. And if you read that, there's a ton in there. And I think the student thing is covered by the teachers in their classrooms are working with the students to create some kind of art that gets submitted into a booklet. So I think that's where that comes in. But again, that was pretty obscure and you had to dig pretty deep. I actually thought the timeline was really detailed, but it was almost more than my head almost wanted to explode in trying to actually see how all those things were gonna work and play out. But again, what a great project. And I too thought the budget was challenging. I don't know that including those high dollars for the building redo maybe was appropriate even here, but again, great project. And I commend the community for their work. So that's all.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. I think Cindy had her hand up first. Go ahead, Cindy.
I know they mentioned that TAF will be helping to administer the project. And I know that TAF has had several of these mural projects throughout the area that have been very successful. So I have a lot of faith that they will manage to put it all together and make it work.
Thank you, Cindy. Steve?
Sorry, I have to unmute first. On the budget, I went through that budget 3 or 4 times, and it was very confusing to understand it. And if you're going to spend in excess of $500,000, it needs to be a very clear, well thought out, understandable budget. And I think it's a worthwhile project. I believe the community, any community could use something like this. And to go back to the timeline, as several others have said, the timeline seemed to have a lot of overlapping aspects to it. And that made it seem as though it wasn't going to be well managed. I mean, so I believe that they need to really relook at their timeline and budget and clean that up.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Okay, please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Okay, and the next applicant is L&A Park Foundation. And the first reader is Cheryl Sullivan.
This project sounds like a great utilization of their recently constructed amphitheater in Abbey and Libby Memorial Park. It looks like this is the first year for this, and I think they did a great job in their grant proposal, and it looks like they have things going in the right direction. The applicant has addressed the accessibility accommodations by making the event free of charge to the community and having the event in the park environment. So it's accessible to everyone, and doesn't matter where you're at on the monetary scale. This is something that is available to everyone. I would have liked to have seen more detail on the individuals and groups they're working with in the community to help with this project and what their input was. And a more detailed description of the individual artists that will be performing and a breakdown of what each artist will be receiving in compensation would have also been helpful. But other than that, I think this is a great project, and it's a great way to use this park area and the amphitheater that has just been built.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. The second reader is Steve Briscoe.
I agree with what Cheryl said, or comments there. One of the things that I did like about it was how they showed the performers, they had the links to the videos and YouTube and that kind of thing. That was good to be able to see that, but a little more detail, as she said, would be good. I believe this is a great way to bring a community together. And one of the things that I liked when I went to their social media pages and viewed some of the items out there was that they had many of the local businesses involved in building and creating the park itself. So I believe they got the right kind of community involvement. It'd be a good project.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any new, additional, or opposing comments? Okay, please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Okay, and the Boys and Girls Club of Tippecanoe County. And the first reader is Cindy Gerlach.
Okay. This is a project that has clearly been very well planned. It's very well put together. The description was gave a lot of detail. It's certainly interactive for the kids. They are definitely playing a part in it. It's a small part, it sounds like. As you read it, it says they are going to learn the chorus of 3 of the different songs. So I guess I don't know what that means then for the rest of it does give them a chance to be involved in this live production, but then where are they for the rest of the program? Are they standing on the stage? Are they in the background? Are they in the audience? And when we say the chorus, how much time does that actually involve for them? I would like to know too how the feedback is gathered. They mentioned that they get attendance data, but does that tell you how exactly the kids are involved, and does it measure their reactions? Are the parents, talked to about this? Those are my main questions about how this is going to be run for these kids and for this audience. But like I said, other than that, it's very well organized, and I think it definitely reaches a diverse population and involves people who will help it, who can interact and be role models and work with those kids.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. The second reader is Bonnie Zimmer.
I think Cindy did a very nice job of recognizing any potential flaws in this application. It's obviously written by a seasoned grant writer. I mean, the grant itself is impeccable and would be a nice model for other people wanting to learn how to give a good detailed grant. It does showcase the professional artists primarily, but I think it will be beneficial to the children to have this kind of experience. But I concur with Cindy.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Any new, additional, or opposing comments? No? Okay, please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Okay, the next applicant is the Latino Center for Wellness and Education. And the first reader is Bonnie Zimmer.
Okay, another very strong application. Overall, really excellent, very clear, detailed, informative, and really fully met the criteria across the application. More specifically, the artistic quality and support. As a group, they have very clear goals that are fully met by this festival. And since it's in its 15th year, they are very careful to analyze and look at what they did the previous year and continue to grow it and improve it. So that is very good. They have a strong focus on utilizing local and regional Indiana artists. They're utilizing 37 in 2021, which is fantastic. And all of them are compensated for their performances relative to how long the performance is, 30 minutes or an hour. In their community engagement, just the very nature of this event is based on the ideas of community engagement and the inclusion, diversity, equity, and access idea. The committee uses the information, as I said, from each year to inform the next festival. They have very clear strategies that they work with to get input from the broader community. They have public forums, they have shout outs to meet directly with people to find out, what should we be offering. They market both in English and Spanish using print and social media, so that's good. They did say they're working on improving the user-friendly nature of their website, which I also thought was good. And they have strong tools for assessment and gathering data. I thought their wristband idea of getting an accurate count on attendees was really brilliant. They said they have approximate 2% increase in attendance each year. So that's really exciting that they can track that data. For project management, again, they have a very experienced and qualified staff who lead the project. Their detailed timeline really is evidence of the outstanding management of this event. They have a fundraising chair and a treasurer that manage the funds. And the budget seemed clear and appropriate. So again, my summary is an outstanding project and application.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. The second reader is Cindy Gerlach.
I concur with everything Bonnie said. It's clear that, this is not a new project. It's been ongoing and it has been run so well and so efficiently. They answered every question. They have all their data in place. I particularly like that, the metrics they're using to measure engagement, the outreach they have to people to get their input, and the marketing materials, because that question is very specific about, do these marketing materials reach the intended audience? Given that they're written in Spanish, the answer is clearly yes.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. Any new, additional, or opposing comments? No? Okay, please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Okay, the next applicant is MSD of Warren County, DBA Warren County Learning Center. And the first reader is Michelle Kreinbrook.
Yes, for this application, I also appreciate that their mission is to connect and engage with students and audiences. And this is a long-term project. I believe this is the 20th year. So once again, another project that has a lot of longevity in the community. And I think we can all appreciate anything that has lasted that long has legs, right? And it seems like they're continuing to innovate in this space. I like they have multiple different types of presentations and different types of art. So I think it engages with different people depending on what type of art that they like. I saw that, there's theater, photography, music. So it engages with all different types of art forms, and also helps to explore different opportunities with nature outside of the regular school day, because we know that a lot of times that time is limited during classes, as we know Bonnie has also talked about today in our reviews. I liked the community collaboration and how they are engaging with the different ages, the ethnicity, and all income levels, and how they're also engaging with Hispanic outreach. So bringing in what we just learned from the last panelist and making sure that you're engaging in all types of language too in your marketing materials. I did note that I did try to click on one of the Facebook links that was in the application, although it seemed to go to a Facebook page that is not active or promoted, as it didn't have any followers. So I'm not sure if the wrong link was perhaps submitted as part of the application. I did see that on your website, there was a different Facebook link that seemed to go to a more active Facebook page. So I don't know if the one submitted was a new one that perhaps hasn't been promoted yet, or if that might have been in error. So overall, perhaps would like to see a little bit more about how you plan to engage with the community and that method a little bit more in the project timeline. The budget looks good. I appreciated the images of the kiddos and how they are expressing their artistic abilities. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And the second reader is Carrie Starr.
You're on mute, Carrie.
Thank you. Sorry, that helps. I really second everything that Michelle said. I was very impressed by this application. They have a great variety of events that include a lot of diverse groups within their community that they serve. And I thought that community collaboration was evident and well executed. Thought it was really great.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Any new, additional, or opposing comments? No? Okay. Please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Okay, the next applicant is Attica Heritage Days, and the first reader is Cindy Gerlach.
This is a new project, a new music festival that's being put on in Attica. It does seem like it's generally well thought out and well organized. They have a lineup of musicians already, and certainly the potential for a meaningful experience for their audience is laid out and has been considered. And it looks like they've gotten input from people for that. When they list the number of people who are, potential people who are going to be reached, I think they didn't do that correctly. I'm looking for that. Yeah, they mentioned direct participants, adults. The number that they give is 14. I think they should have included all the participants, the people who will be attending. And I hope it's more than 14 people who would show up. I thought with their budget, it seems like a pretty optimistic budget to put this on for only about $10,000. But I wonder, they listed that they have sponsors. They're only looking at about $1,000. I wonder if they could do better than that. And even admission fees of only $3,000 at the gate. I wonder if they could do a little bit better than that too. Maybe if they looked a little bit more closely at their numbers. But it sounds like I said, they put a lot of thought into it. And it does sound like, the artists that they've got, that they've named, and many of them are Indiana artists for the most part. I think it does sound like it could be a great festival and something the community would really appreciate and benefit from.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. The second reader is Steve Briscoe.
I agree with what Cindy has said there. And in addition, I would like to see the timeline kind of bullet pointed, so it's a little bit easier to understand in this one. It was kind of loose. And then some of the dates, when you put April 1, May 1, June 1 on everything, I kind of question if you really have a good grasp on the dates that you're going to start it. If that's true, that those are the dates, then, that's fine. But just know that it does look a little bit different than, whenever you really get specific dates as to when you're going to start things, other than everything on the first of the month. I believe it's a great project for the community, but I just believe they need to tighten up their project timeline and make it a little more understandable for us.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Are there any new, additional, or opposing comments? Bonnie?
This is somewhat redundant, but again, I had notations that, what are your admission fees and what is your projected attendance? And I agree, they must have gotten confused about what number we were looking for there. But other than that, it is a great project. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Please finalize your scores and update your online comments. Okay. And that was our last one. This concludes the Region 4 Arts Project Support Grant Panel. Applicants will be notified of the status of their grant in early July. If you have any questions or would like to request a recording of this meeting, please contact the Tippecanoe Arts Federation's Chief Operating Officer, Ann Fields Monacle. Thank you.
All right.